Hello once again, and welcome back to my humble channel, Lance Reynard's Haphazard Universe, LaRuhu Universe. I wanted to bring up a couple of the comments that came into my last video, the 1700s map, which I didn't really cover that map. Cool stuff on the Carolina Bays craters. And Captain Kirk, and I'll give you a lift in the Enterprise. Beam me up, Captain. Beam me up, Captain. No problemo. I'll take a lift. Be there in 10 minutes. Good. Mountain Cat 1. Good to hear from you once again, Mountain Cat 1. And I had a million questions at the end of this. Made me forget. Yeah, the end of the video made him forget his questions. That was just a dream last night, and I have a few different tempos for that song. I just rattled it off quickly one day. Beam me up, Captain. No problemo. I'll take a lift. Be there in 10 minutes. Good. Mountain Cat 1. Good to hear from you once again, Mountain Cat 1. And I had a million questions at the end of this. Made me forget. Yeah, the end of the video made him forget his questions. That was just a dream last night, and I have a few different tempos for that song. I just rattled it off quickly one day and put in some of it, and it's always tough for me to show myself in my videos. I just cringe. But thank you, Mountain Cat 1, and so he'll be thinking about there were a lot of questions in that video, and Roger at Mudfossil, I sent him a little message to take a look at those cellular looking things. Christy McGowan, hey Christy from Dark Goes Solidor, go check out her channel. It was a fantastic video, but you missed the giant green triangle inside the one of the supposed volcano craters at the beginning of the video. I just checked it out, and it sure looks like man-made to me. It is gigantic. Cheers. Thanks, Christy. Let's pop in there briefly and take a look at that. All right, in the beginning of the video, I was checking out this area right over here, talking about this face, and then I went over to the craters, which are in the Sonora area, right here, Sonora Desert, as they say. And then I was zooming down in on, let's see, which area did I have pegged? And this is the area that I was in right here. And then on the inside of one of the craters, there was an absolutely man-made looking triangle that she had surveyed specifically herself. And I'm probably in the wrong area right now and here, but figured I'd go in because I thought I saw the footprint of a Triceratops. Ta-da! There it is. No, it isn't. But the way that comes up from the center and drops is fairly curious in itself. So thank you for your comment, Chris McGowan, and this is one of the craters or indentations that I was looking at. Another one over here, and then as mentioned, probably not even close to the right area, but I do appreciate these specific comments, and if you have a particular time signature, like this one has a triangle in the center of it. It's very curious and has little sort of road squiggles in it. Is this the one that you were talking about? Because this is fairly curious and interesting, the way that it is divided and, you know, coming to the center points of each and then, you know, coming in like lightning strikes in here. That is a curious setup right there. And so I thought I would show some credence to the comments, take a look at the triangle within the crater, and hope that this is the one that you were talking about. All right, let's get back to the comments. There's another one inside of one of these indentations. Of course, it's not a triangle. All right, in a moment. Ilka Freeman mentions that west of the Okavagno Okavango Delta in Africa is a vast area of east-west lines, just like large arable area for cultivation. The furrows are about 1.5 miles wide. Something there has been grown on a large scale. It looks like my profile picture has been shown. There we go, the same joker. Probably one of my sons. Ha ha ha, I mentioned that, thanks. Thank you once again, Ilka. We're going to have to check out the Okavango Delta in Africa as well. And here we are at the Okavango Delta, taking a look at Ilka Freeman's suggestion, and just taking off the borders, labels, places, and all of this, the distracting measures, and looking to the west at what he was talking about. In all of these striations or lines, and just to go back briefly to take a quick look at what was being said. Let's see here, excuse me one moment. Arable area of east-west lines, just like large arable area for cultivation. Okay, and the area for cultivation we were just looking at right here. I am going to zoom down in on it, give you a little forewarning and see what the distances are. Now I'm going to just take a quick look at distances between a few of these lines to see. Here we have 18 miles, and so just a couple of these lines, 2.4 miles, and one line, edge to line, is nearly a mile. And so I could take this one and go 1.25 miles, the distance between each one of these lines. Now I'm going to zoom back to take a look at the overall area, and noticing these striation, I suppose the best parallel lines that seem to be carved in. Now I'm trying just to see from distance to distance. Now if you notice the lines up top, way up here, and what I was going to do was measure from the what seemed to be the top to what seemed to be the bottom of these peculiar lines that were just brought up here. Now, say I'll call this the top up here, right there, just for argument's sake, and go down to a relative area where the lines seem to dissipate to some degree. And that would be roughly in this area right here at 369 miles, 370 miles. And this is just a relative, basically, relative terms to get an idea of the distance of these lines from the very top, which is above the delta, right up here by this particular river or tributary. And yeah, that is curious. Was it agricultural lines? I mean, that's the size and the length. We had 370 miles from top to bottom, and if you go side to side, you can clearly and easily see those lines over here on this side. And I suppose if you were to back off quite a bit and look at that as some sort of possible biology, or what would have that type of line to it right here. It almost looks like, you might say, well, if you were to expand it to the rings of a tree, for instance, then I would consider the tributaries that are coming through here. And if I back off enough and just take that as an idea, it's searching different ideas as to what could cause these types of massive lines. Now, I did top to bottom at 370 miles, and side to side, as I can see here, it's quite clear. I can go at 450 miles easily. And so that's quite an area to have those similar striation lines occurring. And if this was, or if this were tectonics, it would seem that they would move more along the lines of the plates themselves. Like if you were to come here and look at this plate, that, or what's seen, this seam that runs across here, the tectonic plate runs north to south, where these lines, these striation lines that we were just looking at, run at more of a east to west sort of thing. And so that is, I'm just going to pop back over to the Okavango Delta near Botswana again. Oh, that was quite a trip. And thank you, Ilka. What do you guys think of these lines? What are they? What kind of craziness created this? I'll zoom in even tighter to see that they are, it looks like patchwork. It looks like sectioned patchwork in these lines. This is quite curious indeed, and could warrant further investigation, as they say. So thanks, Ilka. And in these little sectioned off areas, you see that's towns, that's roads. These are broken up as divisions, little farming divisions, apparently. So I'm wondering if there are certain veins within those lines that make it more, fertile for farming. And once again, run over to Raj at Mudfossil, leave a comment, and see if he pops in, says hi, and says I'm out of my mind. But I really don't have right now, after I look at this while, the only thing I can think that looks like is grain on wood. If it was cross-cut, there would be grain running in that fashion, but I can't really picture. Pardon the screen jump once again. That was the computer, not me. And I'm always curious about the textures, and how some of these textures seem to be so biological from a aerial viewpoint like this. Searching once again, that does look like the back end of a rat tail right there. Kind of curious with the little spine here and the leg there and the other leg here, and sort of a big old rat fell down kind of thing. As pictured evident curiosity. Yeah, as the head would be here, right? And a little ear, rat ear. I wonder if there's any towns in Rat Town. They're called Rat Town or anything. Let's take a quick look. Well, anyway, I'm getting distracted once again. Thanks, Ilka, for that comment. And these squiggly rivers were brought up also in one of the upcoming comments. This isn't a particularly good example, but the ones out in Siberia are fantastic, and also up in the northern region, the squiggly rivers that sort of have this strange squiggly appearance that also emulate if you put skin under a microscope, you get this sort of a squiggly line that isn't a straight line like I would expect rivers to be. Okay. Jim Dillinger, hey Lance, yesterday Static in the Attic released a video where he mentions 2 San Franciscos worth checking out. I did check that video out. Static in the Attic is one of my favorites. And it is, how many San Franciscos were there? And we're digging it up. It's fun to dig up. And I can agree, Linda Perez says, I can agree with most of your theories. But answers to your questions? Nah. I think only in my second year at Mudfossil University. I did have a lot of questions in that one. And I see the grid marks. And I also see the skid marks. But seriously, at the video where you speak of the rock phallic and the anomaly where the sun is coming through from under it, it looks like veins floating in the middle of what was once a pond. It looks like veins, only my contribution, lucky you. Those things sticking out of the ground pointing in a direction, could they be hollow inside? And once again, going back into the strange area to do a little bit more of I think I upset somebody by saying the sun was coming out of the ground. That was a joke. I was kidding about that. FYI, this looks very photoshopped in my humble opinion. And I believe it was Linda Perez that had mentioned that it looked like a bunch of veins. Get back into the comments here in a minute. And to zoom down off, to be fair, if I were to zoom in and down and extremely close to this to, essay and evaluate it from a very, very close distance. Now, what is the distance here of this particular area? And here we have less than a mile, a 15th of a mile, and it appears to be some sort of deposit with this very, very discolored. Oh, you can see it. This orangish coloration or amberish hue. I'm going to get in even closer. Now I'll back off and do a distance across this entire strange looking thing. So we'll just go ahead and go across from, say, here, say from here across to here, just to see that it is about 5 miles. And what is this down in here? This looks almost like a little boat trail. And it does say Laguna, so it may be a reflection. What is this? Strange little anomaly. Well, it has the appearance, what's your opinion? Appearance of a light traveling, or it seems to have a traveling appearance to it. And I will redirect to a northerly direction. Absolutely north is here. And so it is headed southwest in appearance, in the illusion of the... And once again, I'm going to bring in Laguna, Colorado. And if I get in tight on this, it is a laguna, apparently. Pardon the screen jump once again, and I will... It's set up in a northerly direction right now, and so this runs east to west, and I'm still taken back by what this actually is. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this little spot in here to see that it is definitively, layered, and, this drops down. So, I did leave a message in Roger Mudfossil, Roger's page, asking him what he might think it is. And I'll go back and see if he has taken a look at this. Now, there's a town right here. Or, no, it's not a town. It's a facility, apparently, of some sort or form. And were I to mark, the borders and labels are marked, places are marked, and so it is all marked, and just not showing what this particular facility is. I wonder if there's some sort of mining here, or something of that such sort, or otherwise. No, don't see it. Don't see it. But we have little facilities here and there. And now there are other comments that were made here. And all of those rivers, squiggly line rivers, how did that happen? I know, how did they happen? They're all redirected and misdirected and stuff. Okay, maybe then there were once squiggly creatures that decomposed and dissolved in the ground. That's all I got. Thanks, Linda. And it actually appears to be, if you were to magnify a piece of skin, there are these flow vessel lines that are in skin that really look a lot similar to the lines we see in the river. And then Captain Kirk also mentions a good point that the craters could have been electricity striking the Earth, the same with the moon. The moon... Now, I've seen electricity strike sand, and that is the closest to a crater look that I've ever seen, is electricity striking a powder or sand. We could be upside down magnetized to the earth. Oh, what a feeling when you're dancing on the ceiling. And the stranglers hanging around. Right, prior to getting into the electronically created craters, zapped by electricity, or sand, or powder, or dust, you'll see that that is the closest thing to a crater. Looking at these rivers, and doesn't that look like modern art? It's just pretty cool. And when I get down into the even smaller tributaries, it's nice to have jets flying over constantly. It looks like art. And you can see where, they have started. This used to be, and now it isn't, but it still is a little piece, and man, you can make a lot of cartoons out of this. But this is in Russia. And again, I did not do that to the screen. It's, I'm just gently flowing the screen. But you can see the squiggly lines that everyone is so curious about, and the redirecting river. Is this not a curious detail? In this town right here in Russia. But I thought I would go to Russia, look for the nearest crater, so I put in Crater Lake, Russia, and came to an area not dissimilar to the one that I'm showing you right now. And let's see what town this is here at the specification of Crater Lake, Russia, which there probably really isn't a Crater Lake, Russia, but it did jump over in this direction and brought me to this tremendous river, which I'm going to reorient slightly and let you purvey. Near, around, and surrounding Raduzny. I believe that would be Raduzny. Raduzny. Slovakia. Let's see here. I do not speak Russian, but I wouldn't mind learning. I love learning other languages. I just haven't spent any time, or enough time, with the Russian folks. And that almost looks like a circuit board. Circuit board. Communicating to the outer stratosphere. So, why was I... Okay, we're going to go over and take a look at... I was just checking this river and Crater Lake, Russia. Now we are going to... Or I'm going to show you the best evidence of craters I have ever seen. Well, this one will be fun. Due to the fact that the given hypotheses for craters, and if you see all of these different making craters, how to make craters, moon crater demonstration, how to make a crater, making craters, cheap way to make craters, it's a big hole, exploring a crater. My contention is that this is, impact crater demo. This is what's considered to be how you make a crater, is that you throw an object at dust or the dirt, and it explodes and makes this huge hole. And this is the hypothesis. Now you might say that I am a science denier. Well, not really. I look at the evidence on how to make a crater. Here's a NASA video. And basically what I'm saying is you throw something at something to make a crater. But now when you look, like right in the beginning of this, if I stop it right here in the very beginning and pause it. Now, well, anyway, if you notice the crater up above, the top one, okay, the contention is that things hit a surface and came down and wham. And here you put this powdery stuff and you throw something in there and bam, right? And the replay is bam, and you got this hole. Okay, that's not what you see, all right? Now, it's not a matter of science denier as much as science observer. I'm seeing in these demonstrations and in all NASA demonstrations that something comes in and slams on something else. Well, so you're saying that every single one of those things that slammed into the surface, I'm searching as I'm talking, vaporized. The contention is that when you're looking at the moon, and you see all of those countless craters, that every single one of the rocks that hit that thing vaporized and don't exist anymore. And on top of that, when you throw something at powdered something else, you don't get the same effect or look as what craters look like. You can try. You can get close, but you cannot make a crater by throwing something at something else. And then where did it go once it hit? You go, oh, it vaporized. Every single one of them vaporized. Man, you gotta, really? I don't buy that at all. So it's not a matter of, now what I have seen is electrical strikes from electricity hit powder and make an exact looking crater from an electrical strike, and I've seen it on YouTube, and I'm searching for that because I may have to just reproduce the experiment, but you just basically take a powder and you zap electricity against it, and it makes what looks to be an actual crater that you see on the moon. But throwing rocks, sorry gang, but throwing rocks ain't making craters. You're just making dents in the powder. And that's my observation. It's not my opinion. Doing this, throwing rocks at stuff, just makes holes. It doesn't make craters. As to what you see on the moon, craters. And there are very few on Earth that are exemplary of craters themselves also. And so this is my observation. There are a lot of holes that seem to have been created by large stones. Yes, I see that. But that's not a crater to me. It's like what I was talking about in northern Siberia area. Right. And so, once again, just throwing and making a dent into something like this, that's not a crater. And by the way, somebody has to come pick the ball out of there. And once again, the contention is that it evaporated. So, what are your thoughts on that? I know I'm going to find it. Hopefully I'll be able to find that video of electrical striking powder and creating what we see on the moon. And, like this huge impact detail. Largest impact structures on Earth. This looks pretty interesting to look at. So I will leave this link in my description to keep from mirroring. And put in extraordinary tens information on this and try to find that other part. Okay. Yeah, right. Like the Australians. All upside down. You upside down, Aussies. Some people like the song at the end, and it was just a dream. That was just a dream last night. And mud spewing around at 8 minutes. Why is it they frack? I'm not sure what the fracking thing is about, and I haven't done a whole lot of research in fracking. And so, thank you once again, Autumn and Thomas Bezzy and Mountain Cat White Tiger. Always a pleasure, gang. Thanks for all of your comments. DN. Still wondering about that. And so maybe I will do a little more research on it. So thanks for your comments. And we will end with my strange, unfounded observations. This is a curious... Well, here we go. The craters are electric. See this? All right, just as I'm signing off, let me go ahead and pop into this particular essay. And suspension of disbelief is a well-known mental process whereby a person engaged by a fictional story temporarily surrenders his rational logic. Sounds like a haphazard production to me. Well, here we go. We'll just leave us where I should have started out. And this is from News and Views, thunderbolts.info. I will expand it slightly for those who have the time at this particular moment. And I'll put it in the screen's view, if possible, slightly more than it is. Well, that may not be possible. However, the discovery of the truth, the weakness of reasoning, I will just leave this here for you to read over. And because I was ending this particular production, I may start my next one in this area of survey once again. And so, I'm just running through this in case you want to freeze it and have time to actually read it, because I will not at this point in time. These are craters created in a laboratory, and as you can see, this is electricity striking surface. And this crater surface duplicates many characteristics of planetary geology, etc. Now I'm going to just keep this up so you can freeze it and read it. And once again, I stand vindicated with my fist clenched in the wind, facing an easterly direction, say that I have vanquished mine enemies, and of despair and sadness. So let's be happy and look at facts as they are through observation, experimentation, and logical conclusion without crying about it. Okay, well, thanks. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I will return with some more of my strange, provable hypotheses and scientific humor. Talk to you soon, gang. And I hope next time we hit a bullseye. Yeah, we got to go through this next time. Hasta luego, gang. Space, the final frontier. These are voyages of the Starship Fantasize. Its 5-year mission to finish a 3-hour tour. Each other in the pale moonlight. To seek out new lives, to explore fake worlds, to boldly show what all men have known before. Hello.